Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. Hopefully you're excited to see our faces again. Kind of an inconsistent week last week, but we picked a good boring one for you guys to miss out on it. So the analysis we are going to cover today is going to be by and large similar to what you've heard, but we're going to put a little more emphasis on the short-term price action and some specific levels, and talk about some trade ideas that might come up. I don't really know that, it's a pretty easy area to manage. However, given that volatility is coming, a majority of people are still going to fuck it up. That's just how trading works. They're not going to follow their plan. So they might not even have one going into it. So my recommendation, guys, is let's go through the charts, make some notes here, put these things on your charts, put it in your journal, set yourself up for success. That's all we're trying to do today. So Max, anything to add before we kick it off?
No, my connection's really laggy. I've checked on the stream and it looks like I'm way behind.
So it comes through on my end just okay. So maybe we're both lagging at the same speed, but we'll knock it out either way. So I'm going to go ahead and get the chart up, guys, and we're going to rock and roll on Bitcoin to start off. We are going to cover the DXY SPX. Max, of course, is going to go through Exocharts, the footprint, open interest, all that stuff. I'll let him get into it. So there we go. I'm going to go ahead and take away my camera while I'm talking because sometimes it does lag a little bit with it on, and we'll be back in a minute. All right, guys. So really, really simple. Very easy levels going on here. This is the box right here. You can see it's also our weekly open this week. We've been talking specifically, though, about 28,487 to get the weekly closure for one. But two, even on a daily, you've not closed above this level. Any kind of a break above that level, I would be looking for that potential continuation up into our next targets, right? Up here at like 29.8 and 30,000, which in my opinion, with a consolidation like this that's gone on for almost 4 weeks now, will probably just be a pit stop. Definitely a tradable region, but not something I would preset for on the off chance it just runs to these highs, which again, this box up here would be the ultimate target on a, as long as the breakout isn't a failed breakout, that is 32,903 and 32,392. So the only thing you've got to worry about is what? We have a really obvious thing going on here, this consolidation. And everyone's going to be reading this as, I've got people saying it's a diamond. People are saying it's a bull flag. What you guys need to know is you have a range that's starting to compress into a move, and you need to be positioned either accordingly or have a plan in place if you're not positioned already. I am out of positions at the moment outside of my long from 16.6. So I'm exposed only to the upside from lower right now because that's what I'm anticipating to happen. Where would I be interested in a position? You can see we have a couple different things here. Previous week EQ, which is getting things really, really well, right? So this is the equilibrium of last week. And you can see how well respected this level is. It's also below the weekly point of control here. So already starting to paint an idea of, what we can expect if we start seeing certain things in the charts. Weekly point of control, which is technically naked according to the 40 tick. I did not check Exocharts for it as I track them on TradingView predominantly on the weekly anyway. And then we have this gold pocket right here that I spoke about last night. And that's just your overall gold pocket from high to low. And it's been really good support going through. Now, we talked specifically about a fractal last night. I'm not going to bring that up here for the sake of time because the analysis still is the same. And when we look at our weekly pivots as well, in conjunction with our caveman at 27,992, what do we notice? Well, if we were to break down from, I would say, $28,000, I would realistically, I think we can get past the weekly EQ here. So I'm going to get rid of it as it's no longer necessary. I do think we would bring this down back into this gold pocket, which has served as support a handful of times now, right? So I'm going to go ahead and just drag it over just so that it can be seen. And we would want to see this area of the chart in the China weekly pivot holding as support. So this would be the region of the chart that I'm most interested in gauging a reaction out of right now. It's below last week's range. And that would be an area that you could look at for an SFP right here. If it goes any lower, the previous week low is obviously the target. However, I think continuation down to the 12M1 is somewhat on the table. And then it does become a game of, do we have a plan for this? If it breaks to the upside, are we just looking to wait for our levels to trade? Or do you think we'll get a fake out and you'll trade it back into the range, back to 28K most likely, right? So that would be the point in case there. So you have to be ready for the fake out, and you have to be ready to be patient and wait for this level, even though I think that if this is a true breakout, it's probably going to come pretty quick. I don't think there's going to be any lag on that. Now, we are coming into an important week of time. You guys know how I like time. We said earlier in the year that if this was going to be a bigger range in consolidation, we would expect a local high to be put in sometime towards the end of February, which it did put in the local high. However, this turned into a really crazy rally after taking the lows. So you had to know as soon as you got back above like 21.4, give or take, that this is probably going to rip fairly high. And then breaking through 24/7, which to me is still probably the most important level of support to hold outside of the yearly pivot, that is, right? So this is a much cleaner look at it. We're coming into a really important week in that I'm looking for this week to provide a break of this range potentially, whether that's to the upside or the downside. My bias is up until proven otherwise. I've got no reason to think anything else as of right now. However, the moment we revisit 26,724, if we don't swing fail this low, which comes in right here, we look for, in my opinion, 24/7. And that becomes the region. And I told people last night that would be the place I'd be looking for longs again if this range does resolve to the downside. For now, I'm looking at this blue box. I think it's fairly important. I think it's going to offer up the best invalidation in terms of right here with this local low coming in somewhere around, what's that wick? Was that 27,683? So, you can be aware that it doesn't have to take the previous week low in this case. And this would also be somewhat of a fake out, right? Something like this would be the ideal play. And that would be in line with the fractal we kind of looked at last night on a higher time frame. And it would leave this gold pocket intact. But if it came all the way to the previous week low and SFP'd this low, I'm not that upset about it because both of them are going to offer up really good invalidation. And same with this 12M1. So those are the three regions of the chart I'd be looking for. Obviously not looking for shorts in these regions just because it has been good support up until now. We should look at the overall range. Let's get rid of these triangle lines now that we've gotten the meme analysis out of the way. Our overall range from a market structure standpoint, excluding time, shows us that the value area low of our range also comes in here at the gold pocket and this box. So, this should be the region of the chart we're spending a good amount of time focusing on, looking for positions there as they've offered up the best positions. It's given you, this last week, it gave you 2 opportunities actually. So you are in consolidation. Bias is up until proven otherwise. Be aware of the swing fail up here, guys. If the swing fail does not come, be smart. Don't just fight this whole move up just because you can. You can short it, but it doesn't mean it's going to go well. And I do believe that we see 32.33. I think it was 32.3 and 32.903 if we do get this break to the upside and it's legitimate. If it's not legitimate, well, we're going to short this thing back down, take it to the point of control, somewhere around that 28K and our bi-weekly pivot here, the caveman level. And if that's broken, I think that there's a good chance we could come down. And again, if you guys recall, our quarterly pivot does come in at 24/7, that key level we were talking about. It's also your quarterly value area high. And we have the monthly. So if we start breaking down from, let's say, the 27.5 region, these targets start to become very real. Barring an SFP of these lows again, but to me, that would not look good to come back to here. And I've been wrong about that before. So, I would start looking for 24/7. And I think that that's, you're probably your next bounce target is this blue box down here. So 27.5, super important going into the final week. And we have this here. And one thing to note is that when I historical dates are interesting to me because, things do go. Well, am I not local on the cards to prevent? Brands, I don't know which one they are. That's just the most important one right now. It lines up nice with everything else. So the confluence is what you're looking for. You're looking for context, and we're talking high time frames. I'm not talking like low time frame day trades at this point. So if we look at the high right here on April 14th of 2021 at 65K, 64,990. We are now looking at our fib time. If this is a larger move, so we're just measuring the volatility from the high of 2022 to the low of 2022. How long did this take? This was very aggressive. So, if we were expecting an aggressive move in return, this would be the timeline out to the summer, and it gives us the golden ratio 618 Monday the 17th. So I usually like to give those like a window, and this will be an important window for the asset. So you can see that the other two on this pull, the 382, which is the inverse of your, 618, the other golden ratio was a very, very key day. Same with right here, broke into our range, found resistance, and just been ranging it out on the 0.5. So I'd be looking for the 618 here to bring us some volatility. And I think that lines up nicely with the idea that this range is shrinking into a larger move. And one thing I do want to mention is that you guys have seen a lot of analysis on Twitter, especially. People are like, oh, this is bearish because where's the volume? Well, that's what happens when you get a structure like this, where you're getting a range that's now, coming to end. Generally, the volume starts to disappear, and that volume can reappear very quickly. I think Max can tell you, as well as anyone. A lot of times we'll say we need to see longs coming in. Well, they're not. It's hard to predict the longs are going to come in, but once they're there, you got to be able to read that, or the shorts, or whatever's coming in volume wise, because it can just show up out of nowhere. I say out of nowhere, even though we're talking about projecting for it as of right now. So that's what we're looking for. I think that anything under 28K, you probably retest 27.5, and if you lose 27.5, I would be patient for the reclaim of the previous week low at 27,181. So you could come all the way down, and if you reclaim that, yeah, we can trade it back up to like 28K again, even, and go from there and see if it's a fake out or what we're going to get. But yeah, that's how I'm viewing things as of right now. Talking about the local, I think he was saying the local gold pocket would be like right here, right?
Yeah, I think he's referring to the one that comes into 28K.
Yeah, I mean, it's important. It's very important. So it's right in line with what we're talking about with like so you can see that your Bybit pivot is here. I'm gonna get rid of some of these lines because we like somewhat clean charts here, even though this one's got quite a few on there. You can see it comes in between our untapped biweekly and weekly pivot. So yeah, it's important. It's not that it's not important, but overall, if this level is broken, I think we can see 26.7. Otherwise breaking this one just makes me think we're coming back down to the higher time frame support right here. And then I'm looking for SFPs in this region. If I can get them, I'll trade them. If I don't, like I said, we're just not going to get in front of the train until it hits some of these bigger supports, which is down at like the 26.7 region, and then obviously down in this region as well. So that's the analysis. Those are the plans. That's how you trade it, and we went through a lot right there. So that's why I emphasized at the beginning of this, make sure that you guys are writing down, okay, if price breaks up and I don't see a swing fail, I'm not going to do anything until when? This level here. You can put that in your journal. I'm not going to do anything until here, right? That's a really good thing to do because it reinforces that you're going to be patient for those more important levels. And it's the same with the downside. If we start breaking down and we're not holding 27.5, you can say, well, I'm not going to even do anything until I see a move below 27,181 and then a reclaim. That's right, Badger. He agrees. So yeah, that's what I've got. I'm going to turn it over to Max and let him do his thing on the Exocharts portion. And then I'm going to pull up the DXY and SPX here in just a minute.
Okie dokie. Yeah, so just piggybacking off what Magic was going over there when he said, how can we know, first of all, not to take a trade, and two, how do we know that the breakout effectively to the upside is, going to be a good one? I don't know how else to phrase that. But imagine, I think this is our high. I'm not too sure. But imagine we came up to the high, okay? And let's say this is the high here. Ignoring this section on the charts. And actually ignoring this. This is the actually bit of price action I want, this bit of range. So imagine we came up and we're sitting right below the high and we're getting this range bound movement. You want to see this type of thing in the build up to the break. If you see this when it comes to a major high or low, if you're lingering around and doing this type of price action where you're just ranging right below it, normally that's beneficial to the build up. And if you are going to breakout trade it, it gives you an area to want to put your stop loss. And very neat. So anyone that took the trade that I mentioned in my area, it's just hit take profit 1 of the VWAP. Very nice. But yeah, this is the type of breakout you want to see, but you don't want to see, as you've come up here, you can see these highs and lows. These highs have effectively, you've lingered there. You don't want to linger there. You really need to get that expansion. Pretty much after it's consolidated beneath it, you need to get that expansion. But anyway, that's the only thing I wanted to mention on that. But going over what we've got today, really low volume as of late. It's okay if you don't have the time, Magic, but looking at your thoughts, Bitcoin so after max. Yeah, so I really do like that gold pocket that Franz has mentioned. I don't know if you are in the members section anymore, but you'll know if you are that I've been calling out the previous day VWAP closes as of late. They've been really good. Obviously not past these days where we've had low volatility. But you go back and just look at the previous day VWAP closes. Here, it was very quick. So for the only one in America trading the day open, initially came down, bounced straight off the previous day VWAP close. And prior to that, nearly all of them have offered 100, nearly a percent move. So they've been really good. So definitely eyes on that. And it's just a nice little confluence in with that golden pocket that we've got there. But as we've just SFP'd the Asia low, and already tapped the VWAP, I think this has got the potential to come up and get the current day high, the Asia high as well. Reason being is when the Asia session ended and the London session has really begun, the open interest has kind of effectively been on a bit of a tear. It's been going up, and Delta really just hasn't done anything other than we've had this little drop here as we've come down. Delta's not really done anything. So when you have open interest increasing, but Delta not very lenient one way or the other, what that means is, there's positions building on either side. Now, what happens when we get positions building on either side? Tend to take them both out. This is why I was kind of mentioning in my section in the Discord, I would like to see us take either the high or the lows. And then I went over the open interest and how it has just been climbing and not doing anything. So the fact we've now taken the lows, my target is the highs. So I'd really like to come and take out the current day high. Not too phased about this one, but it was a pretty neat trade for anyone that was up trading it. Really basic stuff. You just had to have the Exo naked point controls up. It was 28,510. There's also the monthly open in that region. You had a few things there. And it was just a really simple trading. The only problem is trades are they're just long. It's not coming fast. It's very slow trading right now, which is boring most of the market. But I've waited all day for this one trade. Hopefully, it takes me to where I want it to take me to. So you just got to be patient. Patience is the name of the game. But when the breakout in whichever direction comes, we'll tell you about it. Or you'll see it. There's so many. I don't know. I'm just going to ramble at this point. Magic, take over. Take the reins. If you're there.
Yep, no, I'm here. Just fumbling for the mute button per the usual. All right. Let's pull up the DXY, I guess. And we're at 1930. We'll get that marked. That way we don't have to do the timestamp backwards. And we'll cover the SPX after that. I've not updated my SPX chart in quite a while, guys. Main reason being is, well, there just hasn't been a need to. Bitcoin's been pretty much range bound, and trading the levels at hand have been the best play. Same with the DXY, in my opinion, that if you were trading the DXY comparison, you probably weren't doing too well. Reason being is, like right now, the DXY is up today. So if you guys recall from last week, we had 2 streams, and one of them we isolated these 2 lows, and we said that this is support and that you can't be bearish on the DXY here unless this box is really lost. And then take this local low, and then we, over time we're looking for, like 96, right? So and that's just a back test of your high time frame range that you set in before. So we mentioned the idea that we would expect to see some form of a range right here. So, and that's, I think, pretty much what we're doing. You can see that these 2 blue boxes are going to be fairly important, deviations and whatnot. So you've got a higher low in place here. I would expect to target these local highs for anyone that is trading this. Now that you've come off the support, you finally broke through 102.21. So you can see that you've got a local high here at 103.058. And then I've got a secondary one right here at 103.57 with I believe these are the monthly pivots just above for this asset. So yeah, what does this imply? Well, it implies we're going to probably go box to box, guys. And then we play the game again. Can we break through these highs that were set in so long ago that have been absolutely key for this asset? And if so, then, Bitcoin probably will, pull back from where it is, and we could expect that. But I wouldn't expect that until basically seeing the resolution of this area of the chart, right? So you can see how important it's been historically right here in 2016 again, right? So forth and so forth. It's just historically been very, very good. A lot of FUD on the dollar. That is why I put the title the way it was today, with China. Basically, I joked about this back in the summer that the next war would be a currency war. You can see France is now trying to become a little more independent as their own power, I guess, after speaking with China. So a lot of speculation on what President Xi and them spoke about, but really trying to push people to like a different currency. And I guess BRICS, and they're going to call it Bitcoin, which is fucking hilarious. But yeah, this is something that happens cyclically. And if we're going to see that, demise of the dollar, it is going to take time, in my opinion. However, people are going to speculate and try to say that it's going to happen very quickly, which I would highly doubt. But if it does happen, like when the euro came around and we lose market dominance, we've seen this before. It can certainly come back in range inside here. So if that happens and we break down from here, that's good for risk on assets, because we live in a pretty risk on market right now, meaning that due to the nature of inflation that's already present in our economy, we naturally have a 2% inflation. That's what their goal is anyway, which I don't know that we've actually been at that for a while. It really puts a lot of emphasis on those with quite a bit of money to park their money in things that are considered hedges. Now, is that to say Bitcoin's going to be a hedge? We don't know how Bitcoin will respond. However, if the dollar is, macro going down, this is probably good for Bitcoin. It is definitely going to be good for commodities in that instance if the dollar starts getting wrecked. But again, we're at support. We've broken above 102.21. I would start looking for these local highs to be taken right here on the daily chart, the high from the 24th of March and the high from April 3rd into our historical support and resistance, which even on the low time frames like the daily, you can see has been very, very good. So the only trade that was acceptable out of this region was a long. But when that was happening, what was going on with Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin was rallying into resistance. So it is one of those things where if you were a correlation trader on the intraday, it hasn't been that great while Bitcoin's been range bound here. However, the idea of trading this on a higher time frame where this has started to decline, then Bitcoin finally started catching up at the end of November and December here, where as the dollar was getting decimated, Bitcoin was bottoming out. You could have started to forecast that Bitcoin was going to have a pretty good run, and the technical analysis outside of correlation trading also lined up with it very nicely. So we have to see now, where do we really get bullish on the dollar is this 6M SFP here. So this is outside of, we're above the blue box. That's strength sign number 1. What would be strength sign number 2 is on the 6-month time frame. You can see that you have not closed a 6-month candle above this in quite some time. This little area on the chart, just a nice SFP off of our overall high here. Pretty nasty candle. But if you get back above 105,788, which is right now completely not worth talking about until we're back above this blue box and putting pressure on to 104,6775. Yeah, I mean, I would look for a decent sized run out of the dollar. I would actually start really kind of contemplating whether or not not a new high would be made. I think that would be a little too aggressive, but I would start pulling like my local gold pocket, from high to low. And I would say, man, you've got the Q1 and the 6M1. These are untapped pivots. This one specifically did not get tapped in its session. So this region of the chart is an area to be aware of. It's right here at the local high. And it would be right in line with the idea that we do get above the 6M SFP, but can't close above it. However, we could look all the way to back test this structure right here at the gold pocket, which comes in right around like 109, 110 region. So that's only applicable if this like 105,788 can become support, in my opinion. And I get rid of this big circle here. So yeah, that's the DXY. So if you were trading it, this was support. You should have been treating it as such. As soon as it broke out of our key level at 102.21, which go to the 4 hour, you can see respects the TA, respect the levels, get the breakout. Now we're looking for local highs to be taken. It's trading 101 at that time. Where do I change my mind? Well, if we break back below 102.21, I'm probably looking for a back test of this box again. So, and it's support until it's not, right? Because these are high time frame breakers, right? These are monthly candles. So until they're actually formally lost on something more than like a 4 hour or a daily, it's kind of hard to be too definitive on that. So yeah, that said, let's get into SPX. I have not updated this chart coming into the new quarter. So everything's old on this chart, everything, right? This is our breakout of our regression. So let's recap the year. 2022 was like this. It was not good for business. You've since broken out. You've back tested the Q1 average and the Q4 average and the first 6 months of price action average. This little box proved to be very good support, right? And so what does that leave us to believe? Well, we have the Q1 low that we've been watching. That has been the level to keep an eye on like the monthly time frame, right? Let's get rid of some of these boxes. And I'm going to get rid of this gap box as well. And we'll go out to like the monthly chart. Okay, so here's your Q1 low from 2022, right? Very, very good level to have on the chart, and it has been. So if we're going to see this asset run to that gold pocket right here, what do we need to see is the 41.14.65 level cracked. And if it is cracked, good things can happen. Otherwise, if we lose 4,049 here on the 12M1, my immediate target is coming back down to this basing level at the yearly open, I believe is right here. That's the March open, excuse me, at 39.63. I would box that off down to this breaker at 39.43. So you'd have like a little $20 window here. This is where I would be looking to if the yearly pivot is not flipped into support here at 4,049. So that's how I'd be looking at it. Certainly can't buy resistance, just like Bitcoin. DXY is that support. Need to see what's going on, for in terms of a time shift. Last year, when we got the sell in May, walk away, we topped out at the end of March, if you guys recall. Now, it's the end of March. We've hit major resistance. DXY is at major support, and we need to see what comes of these levels before we, decide to put on any, in my opinion, any additional risk. The time for risk has been already put into play. Now you need to see strength and continuation to justify additional risk, in my opinion. So that's the only way I can word that, right? So get above 41.14 and the bulls can certainly play. I would definitely mark the Q1 high here for the SPX at 41.95 because the swing fail is always the potential, especially when you've been above this level and seen the reaction. However, my eyes do kind of go straight towards this gold pocket and backed up by the yearly pivot from the previous year. So there's really not much else to do on this chart. It's a very simple chart on the high time frames. Let's see where the new quarterly pivot did come in. I am curious about that. Yeah, beneath the 12M1. So again, we could now have multiple boxes, because I know you guys like boxes. Who doesn't love a good box? That's what she said, right? So 4,033.03 up to 4,049.89 here. This little zone needs to be support to get that push above the Q1 21 low, or 22 low, excuse me. Yeah, that's 22. Otherwise, you lose this box. Well, you got a nice trip down into this one. You're going to backfill this gap. It's very simple trading if you just zoom out and kind of pay attention to what's going on. It's not an automatic short yet. I mean, you had the entry up here. It looks like you had the previous day high from Monday. The Monday high was taken on Tuesday, and then you've since dumped into the week. So, yeah, very, very easy to trade this one. But, you know, we should look for, if we get another rejection out of the DXY here at this blue box, and the SPX is finding support at one of its boxes here, and Bitcoin's finding support, you know, above 27.5 specifically. Yeah, I mean, things look good for a push. So, however, all that changes in the opposite direction if we don't see those things, right? And then we start saying, man, where could this really end up if not? Because you can see below 38.10, you know, if we came all the way back down to here, everybody's gonna be looking at this as a head and shoulders. I'm sure people are already saying head and shoulders on this. In fact, I know they are, because someone was actually talking about that in my comments like months ago. And so shout out to them if they actually took the right shoulder trade, because they made good money. It's just now you're back at that Q1 low that we've had marked for the better part of a year. And that's a pretty important area to have on the chart. So you got to be looking at this as a take profit. And if it continues up, you've still got some skin in the game to get to these higher targets. I'm not expecting all-time highs by any means in these markets. That's not something that I'm actually into, but you know, I've been wrong before. So again, resistance at support. Don't be dumb. You know, trade cautiously. When it's good times to take longs, take longs. When it's bad times to take longs at resistance, I would avoid that. But if you're a breakout trader and you have a strategy where you can control risk in that situation, you could certainly go for it. It's not my cup of tea. So, you know, shout out to anyone that's risking the biscuit on that. But that's all I've got on the DXY and the SPX. What are we at? 32.22. Somebody wanted me to look at Bitcoin dominance. Max, do you have anything you want to add before I jump into Bitcoin dominance?
Is this a trick question? Is the stream about to end?
No, the stream's not going to end.
No, nothing.
We'll look at Bitcoin dominance because, you know, everybody wants to know when alt season, so we might as well talk about it, right? And, you know, there are some alts that I'm exposed to. So let's get up Bitcoin dominance. Something that I almost never look at, to be very quite frank with you guys, is I just don't. I trade my levels only. And it panned out well for me. It's a lot of discipline at that point. So, yeah. I assume this is the best one. And look at that. We have a nice blank chart, guys. Let's get into it. We certainly have a bottom going on here. Let's see if this has got legs.
Are we doing full chart build?
Not a full one, but it'll be fairly quick. You know me. We're just going to mark out all the key levels. I'm going to do it as fast as possible. We're coming up to the 2022 high, which is already a really important level. Oh, man. All that time changing the color and then hit the cancel button instead of the OK button. Idiot. No. 2022 high is coming. It looks like you're probably going to take that at a minimum. And then you've got another area up here that one could mark out pretty easily, right? And let's mark out this SFP. What is that? The 2019 high. Very nice. And everyone's favorite, we box it off. And let's go ahead and put this like so. This is the part that takes the longest, is just labeling everything. And I'm going to go ahead and mark this little guy right here. This is the 2020 COVID low. looks like it's going to be a nice EQ breaker point potentially. See, not much to add. Let's go to a 3-month. Not much to add. Yeah, I'm expecting 57%. I have no reason to think that this isn't going to go to 57% unless it's going to just remain rectangle bound. So I would be patient if I were into alts, but let's make sure that we've got this. Yeah, this, anything above 48.45% here, really, that is the 2022 high, which I imagine we are going to jump up and take that. That extra couple percent there. I guess it's not even quite one. It's like 0.8, 0.85. But after that, I mean, you really don't have anything till the 2020 low to really even speak of. And I would expect to see that 2020 low. So I would expect to see 57, 60% on this asset. I mean, as of right now, you've got, oh man, look at that. Look at that. Even
would you ignore that low to the left? I know you've got the 2020.
This one right here?
No, so up and to the left. It's like 2019 or some shit.
Oh, right here? This one?
Yeah. Would you ignore that one?
We should never ignore anything, but I'm going to. No, I'm kidding. I mean, anything could happen. I'm just more attracted to this one here because this is such a big vacuum. However, if we just box this little region of the chart off, just because I know Max wants us to, if let's say this is a fake out and alts are like, call an ambulance, but not for me, this is what you're looking to do, right? That's the trade if you're bullish on alts. If you see that and you're not exposed to altcoins, that's the time to be looking for it. However, if you don't see this move, you're looking for this, and it could go past this all the way to the gold pocket potentially. I would pull the pivots, but we all know the pivots are just all going to be jumble fucked inside this region for the last like 2 years. So there's no point in pulling them. But yeah, I would expect to see the 2022 high taken. If it gets past these little lows right here, then yeah, I mean, probably going to see, I'd expect to see 56 to 60%, 57.21 being the level I'm going to have marked. But yeah, that's how I'd see Bitcoin dominance. Best thing for altcoins, Bitcoin does this, because then it remains range bound and altcoins continue to take up a large cap of the market share. However, regulation comes, something like that, whatever you want to call it. And if that ever happens and you start seeing this break above the 2022 high at 48%, then, that's what you're doing. If we did the very simple math here of this range, high to low, maybe we're on brush. I'm an idiot. Just high to low, something like this. Are we in log? We better not be in logarithmic. Okay, good. 23%. Where does that put us? Oh man, the TA guys, range expansion would put us all the way back up here above 57% by a C hair. So that's what I'm looking for until proven otherwise. I think that's what the chart says. And we'll see how the dust settles. If it takes this high though and fails, well then, I don't even know if you can pull volume on this. Can you? Can you pull volume on this? Is that a thing? It is. But look at that. Where's the POC of this at? Boom.
Where is it getting volume from?
I have no fucking clue, to be quite honest with you. But we're gonna use it anyway. Where do we target though? If that comes in, man, this thing trades really well. Look at this. So this is the low from March after it already took the low from right here. So you effectively swung fail this low and this low at 43.24, swing fail, move up. Check out the bottom here. Look at this low from 2022. 2022 low gets taken. Man,
we trade this coin.
Yeah, what is the only trade that you need, Max? What's the only trade you need?
Oh, the SFP. Don't get me started.
You only need the SFP. Holy shit, even on Bitcoin dominance. So yeah, if it fails up here, fake out, we target the low. It's right at the point of control of that range that we just pulled, which I don't know if this data is good, but I like it because it lines up with my thoughts already. So I'm going to use it.
Maybe it counts candles. how many candles have passed through a particular
I
area.
have
I don't think
no
there's
clue.
actually volume. I just think it's
But
got to be on candles.
even if, well, I mean, it could be calculating volume, like how much volume is going into like the Bitcoin price at this time. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
How?
You know who would know?
Go on.
I don't know. That was
It's,
more
I
of a
have no
question.
idea.
You know, if anything, we could say this, right? Backtest 1, backtest 2, and that's right in line with the tops of these candles and the low of the structure right here. So this little structure. So a person could legitimately just say that this would be the region of the chart that would get backtested if this trade did occur, right? So that would be how you'd be marking this out. If we came up here and fall, we go to blue box. However, if it doesn't fail, we take it to the 2020 lows. Simple as can be. So hopefully that was suffice for, I can't remember who requested it, but yeah, that would be good for alts if this happened. If it doesn't happen, you guys have to remember she gonna rip, and that is what it is, you know. And what is this right here? June 22. That was when Bitcoin was just absolutely nuking to the floor. May 22. Dominance is going up as Bitcoin's going up. Dominance is going up as Bitcoin's going down. So no, that's really useful. Yeah, that's really all I've got on that. You know, I don't know that it's worth pulling a fib, excuse me, from all the way up here or not. It seems like kind of pointless. I would imagine we could treat the 2022 low as like a range median. So we could do something like this. Let's get rid of some of this junk. Now let's clean it up, guys. Let's really make this an actionable chart. We can do that. We can certainly do that. We've got very few things on the chart, which is ideal. Now we're just going to go ahead and do something like this maybe. And actually I botched that, didn't I? There we go. So that's how I would view things. I'm going to get rid of this altogether. This is what we're looking to do. We're looking to run it back to the EQ of this channel. That's it, the 50% mark, the Dow's theory, which is your 2020 low, gold pocket just above it. You know, this is your first target zone, in my opinion, on a break. You've got to be looking for here. Come on, we don't need you extended over. Something like this area of the chart. Break this area, where do we go? 70%, and everything's fucked at 70% as far as an altcoin goes. Doesn't matter if Bitcoin's going up or down at that point. You know, it's like, yeah. So that's how I'd view that. So what you want to see is Bitcoin dominance at resistance. You want to see it take out this 2022 high, in my opinion, and then fail. Then we target about 42 to 43%. And that would be a good time for alts to do its thing, right? That would also imply Bitcoin maybe doesn't break out to like 32K, or maybe it hits 32K and then comes all the way back down to 27. And we put in a much larger range, like this $5,000, 20% range that could form. And that could be distribution, could be a reaccumulation above, you know, your local low. I would start aiming towards, if we did something like that, I would really start looking at it as distribution probably. But, you know, again, it may not reject that hard off that level. It may just come back down to like 29. But if we came all the way back down to like 26, that would be a cause for worry, in my opinion. So that's all I've got. We have been going on for 43 minutes. There's 24 of you in here. Thank you guys for being here on a Monday morning. If you guys have future questions, you know what to do. Leave a comment on the video and we'll get to it. And don't forget to smash the like, share it with a friend. Be nice, be kind to others. It's the start of the week. Start your week off right. All that jazz. Also, Max, now is your cue. If anyone has interest in how we do things, the academy that we offer is online on leadingcrypto.io. Those services are the most important thing to you. And we pretty much use the Discord server to answer questions, announce lives. You know, you can also participate in some of the other channels where, you know, people like to establish relationships. But the classroom is really where I want most of the people spending their time. The more time you spend in there with questions and practice charts and ideas, the better you're going to get at this. So that's the value there, is education, 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 education. That way we can form our own opinions and plans and be successful over long term, which is ideal. So Max, anything to add? I'm not going to cut you off this time. I'm going to give you a chance to speak if you want it. Look at that. Hands aren't even at the computer.
I was ready to give you some fingers, mate. I was about to go. If he's holding off, I'll hold off. Okay.
Yeah.
Nothing to say.
All right, guys. Thank you guys for being here. We will see you guys tomorrow.